Hello and welcome to Self-Publishing Insiders with Draft Digital. My name is Mark Leslie Lefebvre and I am the Director of Business Development here at Draft Digital, and I am honored and thrilled to have in the virtual studios with me today Denise Massar, all the way from the West Coast, all the way from California, where it's always nice and sunny, right?
Yes.
I'm jealous of the fact that you get the perpetual no snow in the winter, or mostly no snow, right? Yeah.
But pretty much no snow. And so, of course, naturally, I'm jealous of you that you get the season, right? It's just human nature.
That's true. That's true. We're always the snow is always whiter on the other side. So because you don't want yellow snow. I learned that.
No, you don't. No, you do not.
But we're not here to talk about the weather. We're not here to talk about snow. We're here to talk about your writing journey. So Denise, I mean, you're a big reader, right? You've always been a big reader?
Yes, absolutely.
And then in terms of writing, has it always been a dream of yours to have a book one day?
I mean, I don't think I'm one of those writers who can say that I knew I was going to publish a book, in the third grade when I wrote my first short story. But right. When I really started reading memoir, like somewhere in my maybe late 20s or early 30s, I just felt such a connection to it. And I was like, I want to enter this conversation. Right. I love this. I'm an oversharer anyway. So I knew that around there, I knew I wanted to write a memoir, but I didn't know what it was going to be about.
Really? Okay. So, but memoir, was that your go-to choice for reading? Like that's your favorite type of book to read?
Yes. I mean, some of my dearest friends are fiction writers, and I don't think I have that capability within me. The only thing that I'm dying to write that comes so easily and naturally to me is, sounds so awful to say it too, such navel gazing, but I just want to write about my life.
Yeah, right.
Connect with other people, and I just want to write about the real stuff that we're all wrestling with. So yeah, always memoir.
So speaking of wrestling with something did happen to you. Something very significant. Some very significant things happened in your life. And at what point did you realize? We're going to talk about them, of course. But at what point did you realize that there's the topic for my memoir?
Yes. Well, how it happened was we had two biological kids, and then we went through a scary and sad miscarriage, as so many of us do. And so we decided we would adopt our third child after that, because I'm adopted. And when I started on that journey, I thought I knew everything about adoption, but in open, independent adoption today, our lawyer told us, okay, congratulations, you want to adopt, and you are now responsible for going out and finding a woman willing to give you her baby. And I was just blown away that that's how it's done today. And so wow. Going through that process and meeting the 8 potential birth moms I did, and how they were all so wildly different, and everyone had a very different situation as to why they were placing their baby for adoption, and then just the wild west of all of that. And it didn't immediately occur to me in any sense like, oh, here's my memoir. But just it occurred to me like, I want to share this story, because I kept looking for adoptive mom memoirs and I couldn't find one that was quite like telling the real story.
And you and I was adopted, you were adopted, and we were adopted again at a time when it was closed, where it was all secretive and nobody knew anyone, and even the information that you were provided wasn't always accurate.
Exactly. Right. Yes. You and I were adopted in a time when it was just very secretive and prim and proper, and we didn't even really talk about it. Yeah, very different times.
So, and then the difference then, and again, in your memoir, you talk about going and meeting the lawyer, and you talk about that whole process with your husband, and then even having to, and now I found an interesting parallel. When you wanted to get this book, I'm jumping ahead. When you wanted to get the book published, you had to pitch it. You had to write a query letter to get an agent to take you on. But you also had to write query letters to the prospective birth mothers to see if you and your husband were a good enough family for them. I found that really fascinating.
Yes. And you know what's really funny, and this is such a tribute to like being too close to your own project. You and another reader have both pointed that out to me, that they're very parallel journeys, trying to find a woman, who's in a crisis and is looking to adopt, and convince her, not convince, but she discovers that yes, you are the right family for her. And then trying to get your book, to an agent. And then once you get the agent to the right editor, it's all very like pitching yourself. And ironically, all of those processes took me about 9 months to complete, all of that, until I, met the objective.
9 months, ironically.
I know.
How fitting. So
I
you're
know.
not talking just about finding the agent to start working with. You're talking about the process of finding a birth mother itself took 9 months.
We found our son at the 9-month mark, and my agent signed me at the 9-month mark of querying. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. So let's talk about this. So you had this experience. Now you also, I mean, again, as an adopted woman, as a woman who is going to adopt a child, you had this experience you were going through because you wanted to share that with other people. Because I mean, one of the most powerful things about memoirs, I believe, is you feel like you're not alone anymore, right? You were looking for books, but you couldn't find one, so you decided to write
Yes.
one yourself.
Yes. That is 100% it, because I was reading all these adoptive mom memoirs, and they were very like rainbows and, gauzy blankets and lullabies. And I was like, that is not the search I'm participating in at all. And I wanted to find a book that told it like it is. And so I did find one eventually, Jennifer Gilmore's The Mothers, which is
Right.
actually a novel, but it was the real deal. But I wanted one that was actually a memoir.
Hmm.
And I wanted to share it with women and adoptive dads too, but I think it's mostly the women that kind of take on that mantle. But yeah, I wanted to write something and share it. I wanted to give people a roadmap, not even just here are the steps to adoption, because that's a how-to. I wanted to give people an emotional roadmap. Like, it
Right.
is going to get scary and gritty and dark, and you're going to be so unsure, and you're going to be, sure it's never going to happen to you. So yeah, that's what I wanted, an emotional roadmap.
So you got the book, you've written the book,
Yes.
and you had a perception of how this was going to happen, right?
Yes, I did.
We'll dig into that a little bit.
Okay. Well, my perception was I would finish the book, I would immediately get an agent, and then the agent would I would go on sub, and I would get a nice offer, somewhere near $100,000.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Just to
know,
start, that would be the first offer, and then they would bid against that,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah, and then it would go to auction, of course. And no, I didn't really think that. And then I thought that my book would come out with lots of fanfare, maybe being picked for a book club, book of the month. And then in my wildest daydreams, but I didn't think it was impossible. I thought I might find myself being interviewed on the Today Show, because
Of
my
course.
memoir was so interesting and so intimate and so raw. And then I imagined I might be interviewed by Terry Gross. And these are the things that I had laid. Oh, and I imagined I would be in the Library of Congress.
Oh, of
And
course.
one day I would take my kids to DC and say, "Your mom's in the Library of Congress, kids."
Mom's in the Library of Congress, and then and there you'd see Oprah, who had you on her show as well, like all the things, right?
Yeah, just that was it. That was all. That was my dream.
Okay, cool. But something did happen to you. You did actually have an agent actually come back to you, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that was a pretty solid relationship you had there, right?
Yes. Yeah. You mean the agent or the editor?
Well,
Agent?
I'm talking about the agent because
Yes.
the agent was working on your behalf for this book.
Yeah, I had a fabulous agent. She was well regarded in the business. She was with a known agency. She sent it out on sub one round, in which I always like to chuckle this part, March of 2020. And we
What was
got a
going
lot of
on in
great,
the world back then? Can't remember.
or yeah, but it ended up being it was an okay time to be on sub. Agents were responding. They were at home.
Right. Okay.
They were reading. And we got one agent, which I know is so odd, and I don't know why, but or one editor said, "I'd love to buy the the audio rights if you guys can self publish somewhere else or print somewhere
Okay.
else. And then another like big name editor sent back, I loved it. I took it to the weekly meeting and I pitched it, but I couldn't get the others on board.
Right.
Now knowing what I know, probably marketing and, being a debut memoirist. So we got really good feedback.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so my agent decided I should, even though it died on sub, we should do another round about 9 months later.
Really? And
Yeah.
that doesn't really happen, does it? Usually they kind of like, "Oh, let's move on to your next book," or something, right?
Yes. Yeah. It does not happen. I mean, I haven't heard of another person who got another round. And so I went on another round, got a great feedback, but a lot of step aside, and then my book died for real on the second
Oh,
round of
man.
sub.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I mean, amazing that you got that feedback initially and that the agent was willing to continue with it. Now, the agent
Yeah.
came up with a strategy that was interesting. Can you talk a little bit about the strategy your agent employed for that second round?
Yes, her strategy, and I mean, I think it was really smart. She said, "What we're going to do is, uh, you know, and these are her words, not mine, but I fully agree." She said, "Because publishing is so incestuous, all of these agents that we've sent to, or all these editors we've sent to, they're going to swirl around, and
Right.
new people are going to get promoted into editor, and editors are going to go to different houses. And just because they couldn't buy your book at one house, oh, we did a adoption memoir this year, we can't do one here.
Right. Right.
So we're going to wait, see where everybody drops. We're going to slap a new title on it, and we're going to submit again." So that's what we did.
Mm. But that didn't end up working, right?
It did not. I mean, we got it in front of probably 25 new editors,
Right.
and we got great feedback, but it did not. Nobody bought it. No.
But as I understand it, one of the things when the agent, and this is a great strategy because the agent knows the industry. That's one of the beautiful things about agents is they know the editors, they know the industry, they know how it works, which is why you want them in your corner.
Yeah.
But the one thing I think that was a little frustrating was the agent insisted that you change the title,
Yes.
and you kind of like that title.
I love the title. I mean, you know, on Twitter, when it used to be Twitter and X and Threads, and you always see authors talking about, "Oh, I'm struggling with my title. I don't know what to name it." I don't even remember naming my book Matched. It was
Yeah.
just when you are searching for a baby to adopt, Matched is the holy grail.
Right.
Matched, matched, matched. Have you been matched? Oh, we were matched, but it fell through. We had a failed matched. Oh, we can't wait to be matched. So it was always that is what my book was in
Right.
my book. But two, and my editor knew what she was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, my agent. She said, it would be better if we could rename it where it tells somebody what the story is actually about and give them a little tease into
Right.
what it is. So I understood where she was coming from and I agreed with it, even though it hurt my heart to do it.
Okay. But I mean, it kind of worked out because you ended up taking the reins into your own hand. It went through submission twice. So you said, okay, this is important. I want this book out in the world because again, I want to make sure people don't feel alone. There
Yep.
are other adopted people. There are other mothers out there. There are other adoptive mothers out there. You wanted to share the story with them. So what did you do at that point?
At that point, I did another round to university presses.
Okay.
um, because my book does deal so much with social issues and like the racism and the classism baked into adoption.
Right.
So I did do a round with university presses, also died on sub there. So at that point, I just needed to take a break because my author feelings were hurt and my author tanks were empty.
Right.
They just truly everything was like, okay, I just need to take a break on this. So I took a little break and I was kind of regrouping and I knew I was going to end up self-publishing, but my heart wasn't in it yet.
Right.
And around that same time, I found a lump in my neck. And so I went through a really intense, scary medical time where it went from oh, it's probably nothing to, oh, this could be, extremely serious. It's right tucked into my carotid artery. And so it was, scans, MRIs, stat.
Wow.
And there was a 3-month period there where we didn't quite know what it was, but only that it had to come out ASAP. And so when it was going to come out, or after it came out, I had a good solid month of recovery. And when I was laying in that bed recovering, mostly I was just thinking, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy I still get to be here. There was some question about that in my mind. And then slowly, you go through a scare like that and you don't think about anything other than being here. And then slowly I started to think about my real life again, things outside of my kids and taking care of my kids. And then my book came into my mind and I thought, well, what do you want now, Denise? I do not effing care about getting on the Today Show anymore,
Right.
And so I had to just decide. I already knew when I came out of that health scare, I already knew exactly what I wanted for my book.
Right. And I have to pop up this comment. So Jim, who's the regular host of the show, says that Self-Publishing Insiders is the Today Show light. So you are on the Today Show right now.
Thank you, Jim. Yes, my dreams come
Publishing
true.
Today. Yes, with Denise Massar.
I love it.
I have to raise this other comment because you were talking about that. Jim also, who's been with Smashwords from almost the very beginning, says, interestingly, the agent representation followed by a couple of unsuccessful submission rounds parallels the backstory to why Smashwords was founded by our beloved Mark Coker. As well. Yeah, Mark had Mark's wife had a book, and that was the case. It was like, hey, let's build something so that authors can take care of this. And now, of course, Smashwords is part of the Draft to Digital family. We're all just one big. We adopted Smashwords actually into the Draft to Digital family so we could have a big happy family.
That's amazing. I'm so hungry for those stories. I would love to talk to anyone. Message me who went on 2 rounds because it's a special kind of.
I'll make sure Mark will reach out to you after the show.
Yeah.
Cool, awesome. Okay, so you then took the reins into your own hand, which meant you went back to the original title. I want to show this because I think it's just gorgeous. Is and the artwork and everything for your book. This is the cover of Matched, a memoir that you had commissioned an artist and designer to put together for you, right?
Yes, thank you. Yes.
So then what did you do? Like, what is a girl to do, right? When she comes to this point where she's like, okay, I'm going to do it myself. Where do I start?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had no clue. I had no idea. Luckily, I had a very close author friend, and she had self-published. And so I think I went over to her kitchen table with all my questions, on giant yellow notepad full of questions, and an Excel spreadsheet started. And she was like, you know what? You need to talk to my friend Mark real quick. And so, spoke with you early on as to how to start this process.
Denise, I have to, if you just back up a little bit, every time you come really close, it's like you're out of the mic range or something. I'm not sure.
Oh, when I come close?
Yeah. So your voice was a little bit muted. So.
Okay. Yeah. Is that better?
Come halfway. Come halfway. Yeah, that's better. There you go.
Is that better, you think?
That's perfect. Yeah, I think what happened is probably the directional mic is just aiming behind you or something.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, perfect. Yeah, just let me know if I need to move again.
Yeah, so your friend basically gave you some advice on what to do.
Yeah, and it was, and it's interesting because I wanted to do print, ebook, and audio all at one time. And so that was a lot, and I didn't know where to do each one of those things. And so, through various friends who had self-published, I realized I needed to go to Ingram and D2D, and I chose to do Amazon as well. And I just kind of fought my way through those and getting the content loaded, and lots of tears, and it was so hard. It was not an easy thing to do.
But it happened. You released the book.
Yes.
And the other thing too is, so you also ended up narrating the audio. So you have the audiobook version available, and I believe you connected through Draft to Digital to get to Find Away Voices to get that available everywhere.
Yes,
You
exactly.
used Amazon, you used Ingram for the print book, you used Draft to Digital for the other ebook retailers. Just kind of, I guess, let me see. So you got Amazon, Draft to Digital, Ingram, Spark, and Find Away Voices. So 4 different accounts that you had to create, which is not easy, right? You got to create your, I mean, it's easy to create the account, but then you got to fill out the tax information and all that other fun stuff, right?
Yes. Well, and as a new, indie author, you're like, wait, which one's my ebook again? Like, wait, where's the print? And it was so much. The learning curve was very steep. Yeah.
Right. But you hired, so you worked with some really good editors too, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
I did. The smartest thing I ever did. And now I know she's a guru, but I had no idea what I was doing. When I finished my, my proposal, I just Googled online who I should hire to take a look at it and see if it was any good. And I stumbled upon Jane Friedman when she was still reviewing proposals.
The best of the best. Jane is a goddess. We adore her so much. She is so amazing. And you got to work with Jane?
Jane Friedman. And
Yeah.
and not only does Jane review your work, but then at the time she was offering video to give the feedback. And I think that was an hour long, maybe a half hour. And then she sent it to you so you could look at it as many times as you needed to really, get the feedback. And then when I needed a more of like a developmental editor, when I didn't know which ending to choose,
Right.
I'm gonna butcher her last name, but Jane led me to Nell Borenstein.
Right.
And Nell is equivalent to Jane in the game. I mean, her insight was so wonderful. And she told me exactly why I should go with the ending, why they were both good, but this one is better. And
Right.
I got in touch with 2 amazing, amazing people right at the beginning of this journey. Like before I tried to get published, it was way back at the book proposal
Oh, they
stage.
actually helped you develop the original manuscript
They
before it
helped
got,
me. Well,
yeah.
no. Actually, I guess I was still in the book proposal stage where I
Right.
hadn't tried to contact an agent yet. Yeah.
Okay. But that probably speaks to how positively the agent worked with you and how positively the editors, right? Because that manuscript was really polished from the beginning. Well,
For sure.
from that point when you started working with these great people.
When my agent called me to offer, she said, I have never seen a manuscript this clean. Like I am stunned. And so, yeah, I think that really helped a lot. I mean, even if I had a dirtier manuscript, she still signed me because of my voice.
Right.
But the clean manuscript helps. It definitely helps.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, there's something about the voice in the book is your voice is very you. It's very, I mean, because I know you, I know the voice, but also it is, you don't necessarily paint yourself in the most positive light. You're pretty honest and authentic about the emotion you are going through and the highs, the lows, the good, the bad.
Yes.
It's pretty hard hitting actually. So I can imagine that emotional response in the reader, which I have, of course, when reading the book, is probably what hit the agent. So even if it wasn't 100% polished the way it was, that
Yes.
voice was still there, and that emotional resonance was just is just so powerful in the manuscript.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you had a dream of what the book launch might be like, right? I think the concept was maybe a limo would drive you up to some place in Manhattan, and Penguin Random House would, or HarperCollins or one of the major publishers would have a big gala for you on a rooftop patio in Manhattan. But
That's it.
I saw some pictures. You still had a pretty spectacular book launch. Can you talk a little bit about, so you got the book ready for publishing, and you did it in advance, right? You planned this in advance. I remember talking to you more than 6 or 7 months before the book came out, and you
Yes.
were way ahead of the game. It's like, guys, coming out in August, and you got started a long time ago. So you planned it like a traditionally published book, but then you also did some local events. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. Yes. I'll go back to a moment to when I came out of that surgery and what I knew I wanted then. Like
Right.
You know, the traditional pub dreams were over, and not even in a bitter way anymore. It was just like, okay, that's not the route for Match. That I thought that was going to be Match story. That's not Match story. The three things I wanted was I wanted my kids to see me finish the job, because, you know, my kids were tiny when I started Matched, and I could not fathom them seeing me work on something for 10 years and not finish it. That was not a
Right.
possibility. I wanted to hear from readers, adoptees, adopted parents, birth moms, memoir lovers, you know, hardcore memoir lovers like me. I wanted to hear from them. And then I wanted a book launch party. And, you know, I had, you know, it's just something I'd always dreamed of, a cake. I love that, Alyssa. Yes. Mom guilt is fuel. It's very good fuel, by the way. So I made all those things happen. I threw the book launch party. And the only difference was, unfortunately, there was white twinkly lights. There was a book, you know, there's a cake with my book's cover on it. Everybody I love dearly was there, friends and family. There was a DJ, there was dancing. I gave a speech. My kids heard it about how, you know, my dream came true, not in one like big, you know, I launched a book and somebody, you know, an editor called me and I popped champagne. It was like, no, it was very deliberate steps, one after the other, you know, for months, years at a time. And I wanted them to hear that.
Right.
So it did happen. It just, I threw the party instead of, you know, Penguin.
But what a great lesson. I mean, you talked about the 9 months. Just it's like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of
Oh,
gestation. It's a lot of growth. It's a lot of development. It's a lot of learning along the way, right?
yes. And to anybody who's listening to this, watching this with us, it's funny to me how rare it occurred to me as a writer, you know, that I'm sometimes working. When I was writing Matched, I was certainly working, you know, 15, 20 hours a week minimum. And then when I was marketing it right before it came out and after it came out, I was working more than that to market it. And it only crossed my mind a few times, really, I am doing this for no money. Like, who dedicates this much time to something? And there's certainly no guarantee. It hasn't been a big money maker. You
Right.
know, I haven't earned that money back, but you
Right.
just have to be a writer and know that you have to do it, whether you're getting paid or not.
Yeah. That is interesting. I mean, and that's a reality of the publishing world in general, even within traditional publishing, right?
Yeah.
And we saw that through the Penguin Random House Simon and Schuster acquisition a couple summers ago, as the big publishers were admitting, yeah, well, for every 100 books that publish, maybe 10 of them actually sell.
Yes.
So it's not all that different in the self-publishing world, even though, of course, Drafted Digital helps make it easier and remove those barriers for you. There's still a lot of work involved, and the likeliness of it hitting some bestseller list somewhere are minimized because there's so many choices for people to read, etc. However, you've got a target audience. You know exactly who your readers are because you are one of those readers, right?
I sure do. Yes.
But that's probably, and then you also did, so not only did you do the fantastic book launch with all the people that you love, and you got to share that moment with really special people, but you're also doing some stuff collaboratively with bookstores, and that's something you picked up and you did it on your own. There's no agent, there's no marketing person out there, there's no guru. This is Denise getting on the phone, and
Yes.
just like you reached out to Jane Friedman, just like you reached out to other folks in the industry for help, you went out and you've done some book events as well, and you're also
Yes.
working collaboratively with bookstores. Can you talk a little bit about what you learned and what you had to do there?
Yes, because it's been completely the most mind-blowing part of publishing this book. What I did not expect, just like life, I didn't expect it to go this way, and it has gone this way. So as far as like getting out there, what I did was I took my best girlfriend and we got in the car and we had author copies of my book and the ISBN number, and we went and visited all of the indie bookstores in Orange County, California.
Okay.
And I just had this on my spreadsheet as something I wanted to do. And I fully expected them all to be like, yeah, that we'll let the owner know. And that's very sweet. Thank you for dropping your book by, you know?
Yeah.
But I went to 5 stores that day. And was it the first one? The first one put my book on the shelf immediately. And then the second bookstore I went to said, We will absolutely carry it. Thank you for coming in person, which is the key. And would you like to do an event here? I was like, this is how
Whoa.
easy it is. The third also chose to carry it. The fourth is a hotel, a bookstore and a hotel that I have to get a little bit more higher up approval through the exec team, but they're
Right.
willing to carry it. And then the fifth one has been like a dud. They don't respond to me. But I mean, 4 out of 5 indie
Wow.
bookstores that I drove to said, sure. So why not? No,
And
let's
these
do it.
independently managed bookstores, so like indie authors, they're independent businesses. And so, but here's the one thing I want to point out is you didn't just, the book's already published and then now it's been out for 2 weeks and now you showed up. You did this in advance, right? You got your author
Yes.
copies in advance of the book's release and you went out ahead of time and did that. I think
Yes.
I think there's a lesson there for us authors to think, oh, I need to plan ahead a little bit, right?
For sure. Yes. And there are things that I didn't know I should have done way in advance. Like,
Right.
if I wanted to get my book reviewed, I should have done that 6 months ago. So, but yes, I mean, that is definitely something you want to do is go visit your bookstores because we're not, I thought they were going to shut me down. I was just going to get in my car and be embarrassed for trying. That's what I thought.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, but you also had the other thing too, is you mentioned you were with a friend. Was this an author friend of yours that was
Yes.
there supporting you? So, and potentially a book nerd, book lover who's very
Yes.
intimately knows bookstores.
Absolutely. And she'd done what I was doing. And she didn't go up there to the counter with me or anything, but just the emotional support of that. And now
Yeah.
that I'm saying this out loud to anybody who's going to be on this journey that I'm on right now soon, another thing that I was really, really apprehensive about, and I thought I would never get my book in a library, is getting your book in a library. It's pretty easy. Like, okay, my own library in my city is said they would require like a Kirkus review.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to spend $500 on that right now. So I'm going to ask friends to request my book. And so I'm a very organized person. And so I organized a friend to request my book every other day. So it was like, whoa, everybody in the town wants this book. And so now my book's going to be in the library. They purchased it.
Oh,
And then other friends across the country are also doing it, and their libraries have purchased it.
oh, that's
So,
fantastic.
thinking that you have to be trad pub to get these things done, it is not true. It is not true.
Okay. And I just want to let listeners know whether you use Draft to Digital Print or Ingram Spark, that book is going to be available in Ingram's ecosystem for libraries to purchase. And that's what the libraries did. They purchased the print book there, but also you took advantage of Draft to Digital's ebook distribution to
Yep.
a whole bunch of library, because whether they use Overdrive, whether they use Biblioteca, Cloud Library,
Libby.
whether they use Hoopla, there's so many different libraries using different systems. Your book's available in print, ebook, and audiobook through Findaway Voices to all the different library wholesalers, right?
Yes. Yes.
That is fantastic. Cool. So the book is available in selected independent bookstores. It's available online almost pretty much anywhere you can buy books.
Yes.
And you've actually done a few other. Have you already done a few? Yeah, I saw some pictures. You did do at least 1 or 2 in-person bookstore events, right?
Yeah, I did an in-person launch at that bookstore that, I walked in there thinking they weren't even going to carry my book, and they were like, no, let's do an event for you. So I
Sweet.
did an in-person event there. And then I had a dear friend from my publishing career back in the day, and she ended up opening a bookstore. I ended up becoming an author. She's in Pittsburgh, I'm in California, but she handled my signed copies for me.
Right.
And she was so generous, and she said, could I do your virtual launch for you? And so she threw the virtual launch. We had a really good turnout. And it was just so emotional. Like, there were people I didn't know there. There were people I did know. My grad school advisor called in as somebody to the virtual launch. So that was really an amazing event as well. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's fantastic. So I want to get to some of the questions that some folks have asked. First question is from Beth, and Beth says, Denise, are you working on subsequent projects? Do you have like an author newsletter?
Yes, I do have a newsletter. It will, as if you go to my website and you start reading, or if you request to read the first 2 chapters of Matched, a pop-up will come up and you'll immediately put in your email and you'll be signed up to my newsletter. Or message me on Insta or Facebook, anywhere, and I'll get you. I've got you. Am I working on a subsequent project? The immediate answer is not really, because I'm so like, oh, okay, I did it. I don't ever want to do it again.
Right.
But that being said, I know that's also a lie, and I will start working on another project. I think this time, though, I'm interested in so many different things. I'm raising a neurodivergent child. I've been through a divorce. I've been through a health scare. I'm middle-aged. I think I want to write a book of essays, because I want to just write about all of it.
Oh, yeah, because then you can take different elements and pieces.
know,
It's a memoir, collection of memoir essays or
yeah,
personal
yes.
essays.
I mean, maybe it'll lend itself, maybe it'll meld into a memoir, but at this point, I just want to write a bunch of essays about the stuff we go through at this age,
And you have published essays, right?
I
About
have.
the publishing
I
process.
have.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough. I submit to anybody out there who's submitting to HuffPost. I submitted to HuffPost for 5 years, and they did not even respond.
Right.
And then one day I hit with them, and I wrote an essay about taking care of my mom when she was terminal. And I think it was one of the most viral essays they ever had. And then, they knew what I could do, and they've been wonderful. They were willing to publish another essay of mine the same week that Match published, which really helped.
Yeah.
And then I publish for Jane Freeman often on her blog.
Yeah, of course. Awesome. Yeah, because she loves your writing. And it's good stuff. Oh, thank you. So, okay, another question. This question is from William. William says, what are your thoughts about self-publishing first and then, actually skipping that whole submission process that you went through with the agent and the editors? I mean, that was years, right? At least 3 years of work, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's 3 years is not a long time, actually, when you think about it.
I mean, not when it took me a year to write my book proposal. I mean, everything is so slow. But William, this is what I would say. For me, I needed to do it the way that I did, because even though I know they kind of just have to give you an excuse on why they're passing on your book, I got so much real feedback from editors that I knew were prominent. I did all my research on Publishers. What is it? Publishers Weekly, Publishers Lunch. I had that membership for a long time, and I did my homework. I knew who was selling. And so for those editors to come back and say, Denise, your voice is amazing. You can write your ass off, but I cannot write your book right now. That was rocket fuel for me. Right. I was like, okay, I can write, right? I can write. They said I can write. So for me, it was invaluable. This time around, if I do it again, I'm skipping that. I'm skipping the subbing. I will absolutely skip, because I don't need the validation anymore. I'm an author now. I'm a published author. My book's getting great feedback. My readers are contacting me. So I'm good, but I'm done with that part.
Yeah, and I also want to add one of the other things you did is you did have advanced readers of the book, and the week the book launched, you also reminded people, hey, if you've read the book and you liked it, please review it on whatever retailer, right? Goodreads, the various retailers.
Yes. No, Mark, I'm so glad you said that, and I want to say this to anybody who's going to self-pub. The number one thing I did to market my book, and it is so, by the data, everything I looked at, it's the number one thing I did to sell my book, is I had 75 beta readers. I gave my book to them, ebook 2 months before it pubbed. I tried to not bother them, but I sent them an email, 3 emails saying, hey, it's getting close. Hey, it's almost time to review on Amazon. And then the morning my book published, I had 43 reviews from people who loved the book.
Wait. 43 people the day the book published had left a review for it. That is phenomenal, because I can imagine if 75 people, you'd be lucky to get 5 of them to do that.
Yeah. So. I kept telling them, how important it was, and that it really works, with Bezos and his algorithm. And the more I get, the higher I'm going to get. And if you love me, if you're friends, please help. And it did. It made a huge difference.
Oh, that is, and that's really good word to the wise, because we do know, we've seen stats shared that even a book with a single one-star review is twice as likely to sell as a comparable book with no reviews, because it means somebody read it.
Yes.
Somebody read it and had a reaction to it, whether they liked it
Yes.
or not. They actually reacted.
Yes.
Yeah, so amazing. Well, thank you for that tip. Some great tips, which I think are phenomenal. What are some of what are some of the other things that you wish you had known when you first started out that you would love to share with maybe other authors who are watching or listening to this in podcast form?
The biggest thing I wish I'd known is that when querying, and I don't think this is just unique to me, half of the agents you're querying will never respond.
Right,
Never. Not even a no, didn't like it, you suck. They will just not respond.
right.
And so you'll read some, when you're querying, you read a lot of advice, and some people will say, okay, just send out 3 or 5 queries at a time. And then you wait very politely at home until all those agents have answered. And then you query again. Screw that. Okay, you just query, 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 because if you
Wow.
waited for them to respond, you'll be waiting forever. So in that way, you kind of just have to look out for yourself and get as many queries out there as you can, as long as you're doing your research and you're querying agents that actually fit with your book. And again, that's where Publishers Lunch comes in.
Awesome. So yeah, I guess that research that you did into the book publishing industry was, yeah, became invaluable for you, because you really helped learn quite a bit. Like, you had a friend, a mentor who had self-published before. You had supportive people in the community, like, willing to go with you to the bookstores. But then you also did the legwork and the research. It sounds like
Yeah,
you've always been a very organized, and analytical, strategic spreadsheet kind of person.
yeah. I mean, it's funny because I actually hate numbers with my entire heart. I'm very, obviously we're probably all on here hate math and we're language arts people, but yeah, when it comes to being organized, I do love a spreadsheet. I do.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Excellent. Any other sort of bits of advice that you want to endow upon people that are just going, "Wow, look at all the cool things she ended up doing."
Yeah, I would say 2 things that I've done that have been surprisingly successful. Again, I don't what's the term, self-select or self-cancel yourself. Everything that I thought people would say no to, people have said yes to.
Right.
Another big thing that happened is I contacted my alumni magazine from my university, and I asked them to feature me and my book. And they were like, this must be meant to be, because one of your friends, one of your Facebook friends who you went to college with, works on campus. She emailed us yesterday and said, hey, she'd make a great feature. And they're like, this is it. Yes, we'll do it. So
Awesome.
I never thought that would happen as far as marketing goes. And then the last one I wanted to tell everyone is, oh, if you have a book, it will really serve you well to write a list of book club questions now, because everybody loves you, your niece, your mom's best friend, the new woman you met online because she loves your book, they will want to use your book for book club. And if you can say to them, awesome, can I zoom in? Can I send you a list of book club questions? They will love you so much. So
Oh,
start writing your book club questions now, because it's going to happen.
that is fantastic, Denise. I want to thank you for joining me, sharing your wisdom, sharing your journey, sharing your today style story with me, and remind people Matched is available. It's available in print. It's available in ebook. It's available in audiobook. I recommend you ask for it at your local independent bookstore, your local library. You can check it out online. You're sure to be in for a treat with this fantastic memoir. Denise, thank you so much. Can you remind people where they can find you online?
Yes, I am. I'm super active on Instagram. I'm just at Denise Massar. I'm on Threads at Denise Massar. I'm on X and Facebook. You can just look me up as Denise Massar and follow me there. So I'm active on all of those except maybe Threads, not so much.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Denise, I want to thank you again for hanging out with me today. Please stick around. We'll hang out in the green room after this closes. But I want to remind you, dear listener who's watching this right now, that you can like, comment, and subscribe to the show. This helps. We're here every week at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you don't want to forget about this, be sure to bookmark d2dlive.com. If you have not started your own indie self-publishing, take the reins in your own hand publishing journey, you can get started today with a free account at draft2digital.com. So you can start that career at draft2digital.com. And Denise, I want to thank you very much for hanging out with me today. I want to thank all the listeners for their fantastic comments. Lots of great comments in the show. I have to add this from Beth. We were talking about 43. Beth said if it was 42, it would have been the answer to the life, the universe, and everything. Nothing like a good literary reference right there. Awesome. And now, as we close the show, we're going to leave a little word, a new word about some cool features of Draft2Digital. Denise, thanks again.
Thanks so much, Mark.
You're probably aware that Draft2Digital has a free Microsoft Word to ebook conversion tool. You simply load your Word document, and in a matter of seconds, we'll convert it into a professional quality EPUB file with dozens of quality templates to give your book that pro designer look and feel. And if you haven't added a title page, a dedication, or a copyright page, no worries, we've got you covered. We can even help insert great sales tool options such as links to your other books, and also insert features such as a teaser and a link to another one of your books, an About the Author page, and a handy Follow the Author link, where your readers will get notified of any new book you release through Draft2Digital. This is just one of dozens of great free resources we built for you, because it's important for us to remove the barriers preventing you from getting back to writing your books. And you can learn more at draft2digital.com.